Phil Lindsay with Peep Magazine, and we're here at Swalwell ABC. We're being joined by Ryan Roddy, who's not a boxer, he's an MMA fighter. He's an MMA fighter on the rise as well. And you've got a fight coming up on September 26th, is that right?
That's the one.
And you've been working with Mark Clausel, obviously, on part of the boxing side of your fight, is that right?
So I wanted to come and work on my hands and sharpen up, and there's no better place than a boxing gym.
Yeah.
And I'd heard good things about Mark from a few different people that train MMA.
Yeah.
And then I just came down and just got his number and asked him could I train. I've been training with him on and off, I think for between 4 and 6 months. And I come down just one-to-one basis with him, and then sometimes come and spar the lads as well. And it's really helped me.
Well, it's one of the things that I found out, obviously, as I got to know Mark, is before he was a boxer, he was a kickboxer.
Yeah.
So that those sort of levels, obviously you're mainly focused on the boxing side of things, but in terms of using your feet, he still has the knowledge and awareness of that, which
definitely helps. Yeah, because some boxing coaches don't have that sort of openness to other sports, not in a bad way, but he's competed in a lot of other sports and done really well, so he's got a good knowledge. So if I say to him, how would this work whenever that happens, he's got a good answer for it most of the time.
Where if you got somebody who's just done boxing only, you wouldn't expect them to know.
No, you wouldn't expect them to know. Like, a lot of the time I've worked with different boxing coaches over the years, and I've been more a case of me adapting what they're telling me, and thinking, okay, I'll use that, but I won't use that.
Yeah.
But you don't want to,
you take certain things on, but then you've got your own knowledge in terms of, well, that wouldn't work with that, but he wouldn't know, that sort of thing.
But you sort of just be respectful to the coach.
So, for the guys who haven't met you yet, let's give a bit of your background. So, when did you start fighting? How long have you been fighting? And what first got you into it, really?
Yeah, so I've been fighting since I was 17 at the professional level in MMA. What got me into it was just always an interest in martial arts. Whenever I was 17, it was a very, very small scene. And there happened to be a gym right next to my house. And my mother actually knew the coach.
All right.
And she told me to go down and train. She knew I was into martial arts, and I've been training in boxing and judo and different martial arts. And she said, oh, why don't you try this? And I didn't know what it was. So I turned up, and that was it. And that first night, I was hooked. And then one thing led to another, and then I ended up doing it full time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what's happened so far? You've been doing it for 8 years now?
I'd say 8, 8, coming on 9 years.
Coming on 9
Getting
years.
old.
Flies, doesn't it, when you're having fun?
Yeah.
So, where have you been? What sort of success have you had? And we'll come to the future in a moment.
Yeah.
But
so I'm 7-1 as a pro in the MMA. I have one semi-pro fight. I fought on Cage Wars, which is the biggest show in Europe.
Yeah.
3 times for them. I've won one of the British titles, but there's a lot of British titles floating around in MMA, so it doesn't really. There's a lot of titles, so I won one of the titles years ago.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good achievement for me. I'm now just kind of trying to move up the ranks. I'm in the top 30 in the UK and Ireland. I think I'm 25th, something like that.
Yeah.
25th, 26th. So the idea now is just to pick up the guys above me in the rankings and see what happens. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that you're looking to do on September the 26th.
Definitely. So the guy that I'm fighting is Chris Fishgold, and he is 10-1. So on paper he's a little bit more experienced than me, and he's fought good people, and he's a big name in the UK scene. He's living in Thailand for a while there, fought in China, big experience. So it should be a good fight. Yeah. The kind of guy you wanna test yourself against, you know.
And what's your ultimate ambition?
Ultimate ambition is to be the lightweight world champion in the UFC. I mean, if you're not doing it for that, I don't know what you're really doing it for. You have to be aiming for that. And that's the.
I love the steeliness in your eye. There's no anger there, but there's just why do it if you're not really going to? Because some people do it to compete. Some people don't have that full belief in themselves that they can do that.
Yeah.
Whereas, again, I asked the question, I'll let you do the answer. But the way that you answered that question, there was definitely a.
Well, like that's. I'm not in it to be a journeyman. Do you know what I mean? If you're not in it to be a champion, then you're in it to be a journeyman, effectively, or a gatekeeper, or something like that. But that's too difficult a job to be a journeyman. I think some people can do that, but I respect people that can be journeymen. It's a tough way to make a living, but it's not for me. And the only aim is to be the best in your sport, and then that drives you. Do you know what I mean? Having that top level belief drives you on.
So the next step is September the 26th. It's going to be outside St James's Park. What's the situation with that?
The situation, as far as I've been told, it's fighting for Made for the Cage, which is one of the biggest British shows. And they usually fight in the Rainton Meadows Arena in Sunderland.
It's a great arena.
Yeah, great arena. So they're moving to Newcastle to a marquee event, which is a marquee that they're building for the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup.
Rugby World Cup, yeah.
So that's all I know. But it should be exciting just to be, fighting Newcastle on a marquee and home time.
Are you living at Newcastle at the moment?
Yeah, I'm living in Gateshead at the moment. I've been living in Newcastle in various places for 8 years now, since I was 18.
Yeah.
So it's like a hometown for me, adopted hometown.
What brought you over here?
Well, I came over here to train, really, because the Irish scene at the time was small, and I made another friend of mine, Tommy Quinn. We both got university places here, and he trains. He's a pro fighter as well, a really good level. And we both just wanted to come and advance our careers. At the time, the scene was so small in Ireland that you sort of had to move, and that's what we did.
So it was a matter of, I want to go over there and study, but the real reason you were coming over was for
We just trained. We didn't really, you had your student loan, and I just paid for your training, and you got by. That was really it.
That's okay. It's all in the past anyway,
all in the past,
so they can't really call that back.
You get your degree, you leave, it's done. No, honestly, it was great. I had a great time. Probably the best was just training.
Best move you made.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, train with some amazing people in England. I'm still in Ireland. I still go home and train, but it's nice to get spread out and you get exposed to different ideas, different people, different approaches. That's what I like. I don't like to stick in one place too long either. When there's stuff that Mark's taught me about boxing that nobody else has said to me before, and you would think boxing in itself is a simple sport, but it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's far from. But the ideas are simple.
Yes.
But the application is complicated. And
but as well, some people complicate things that they don't need to when they could actually make it more simple as well.
Yeah.
But that's a lot more deep conversation that we can get into.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've got Fish Gold on the 26th.
Yeah.
In terms of achieving your dream of being champion in the UFC, if you beat Fish Gold, how far off that do you think you will be in terms of at least getting into the Premier League level of the UFC?
So the Irish scene at the minute is pretty big because of Conor McGregor. A lot of people know his name, so you want to kind of piggyback on that. And now's the time. If I get to 8-1 and finish Fish Gold on my record, that's a great win.
Yeah.
He's a really good opponent, so that leaves you thereabouts. And if it doesn't happen after that, then I fight the next guy, and then I'm 9-1. If it doesn't happen after that, you go 10-1, and so on and so forth. And that's it.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
But again, it's one of those, if you're prepared to put all of the work in and all of the effort and all the dedication and sacrificing that you have to do to get that, then an extra fight or an extra couple of fights or 3 fights it's just
really, it's nothing.
You just do what you have to do, don't you?
It's not a sacrifice, you know what I mean? Because I like doing what I do. Sacrifice would be going to work every day. I get to just train.
I understand that,
So, I don't really sacrifice that much. I just get to train martial arts all day, and that's really that's the key. That's the most exciting thing. Everything after that's a bonus.
Yeah.
But that aim of being a champion is what keeps you focused on one thing, and then when I get older, maybe it'll be coaching a champion or something else. But right now, it's just to compete.
Well, I guess with the MMA, it's very, very similar to the boxing, whereas when it gets to the very top level, everybody who you're fighting about is 100% committed, and it's just fine little margins here and there that can just give you that little bit of edge.
Totally.
To take you at the top.
And sometimes the styles make fights as well. There's a game. Sometimes you match up against a certain guy and you think you can beat him, and maybe another guy that isn't as highly ranked, you look at him and you go, I'm not going to beat him. And that's, boxing's the same, MMA is the same, kickboxing's the same. Certain people you can beat, and you can beat them.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's one of those guys for me. He's above me in the rankings, but I look at him and I think, I've got the style for you. I respect him as an opponent, but I've got the style for him. A lot of people, I'll definitely go in as an underdog, but I'm not even slightly worried about it. I don't see myself as below him at all.
Do you see that as an underdog on paper?
Yeah, on paper. Yeah, underdog on paper. He's fought slightly better people than me.
You don't win fights on paper, though, do you?
No, you don't win fights on paper, It's a win-win for me anyway. If you're fighting somebody that's above you, kind of in the scene.
You get the experience at the very least.
At the very least, you look at it and you go, we fought him. So what's to lose? The only thing you got to lose is fighting somebody below you.
And then losing ranking points or something.
And when you beat them, you beat nobody. And if you lose, you're the worst in the world. You can only fight people better than you.
If you're going to stretch yourself, that's the way you got to go.
I'm not in it for the easy run. So.
You win it, mate.
That's the one.
Ryan Ruddy, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to get down, I'm going to see that fight. And I'll tell you what, you mentioned Conor McGregor, and I used to watch UFC a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I sort of drifted in, and again, I didn't have so much time, but I watched the Conor McGregor show a couple of weeks back, and every single fight on the show I mentioned before there was really, really good. So there'll be going to be a lot more fight fans out there that will be tuning in for the UFC, so you never know. Ryan Ruddy, watch out for the name. You could be seeing on TV near you soon. But all the very best, my mate.
All the best.
Good luck on the fight.